For over 40 years, attorney Chip Nix has experience in personal injury claims involving the most serious and catastrophic injuries. Helping victims injured at work, at home, or on the road is attorney Chip Nix's mission. The law offices of attorney Chip Nix is committed to representing clients with integrity and getting the compensation they deserve. This evening, attorney Chip Nix discusses the legal issues that affect you most. This is Justice for You with your host, attorney Chip Nix.
Welcome to Justice for You, where we talk about what you need to know if you've been injured or if you are being denied justice. Tonight I have my good friend Clay Phillips with me. We're going to talk about construction cases and construction law. Thank you for watching Justice for You. Clay, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where did you get your legal education?
Well, Chip, actually I started out in construction. I haven't been a lawyer but for just a few years. I graduated from Auburn University in the building science department.
Yeah, that's great. So what kind of courses did you have in the building science department? Well,
it's the building science department at Auburn is geared towards training you to be a contractor. And they have estimating, scheduling courses. Course on just basically how to build buildings, and it was a great program. When I left there, I went to work in Atlanta. My dream was always to build a skyscraper. Chip, I always dreamed of going to Atlanta and building skyscrapers. And I went to work for a company called Beers Construction in Atlanta because they built more skyscrapers than anybody. And lo and behold, when I went to work for them, they had me building sewage treatment plants of all things.
Is that right? How about that? Well, I think you had, as a professor at Auburn, a gentleman that I have used on a number of occasions as an expert witness.
Tom Cooper.
Tom Cooper.
Yeah.
What a fantastic guy. Really a great guy. He was
great professor.
Great professor, and he was an excellent witness because, you could tell he was just telling it like it was. He was very good. So you had a great education, and then you became a contractor, right?
That's right.
So
I came back to Montgomery to work for Stallings and Sons Construction.
All right.
I'll throw a plug out to my guys, Rick and Jeff Stallings. They're like family, great builders, and
Uh-huh.
I worked for them several years, and then started my own company.
And that was the Clay Phillips Construction Company.
That's right. That's right. And Phillips Inc. or Clay Phillips
Phillips
Construction.
Inc. Okay. So how long did you have that, Clay?
I did that for 10 years before I decided to go to law school, and I went to law school here at Jones.
Yeah, well, that's awesome. And Jones is a very good law school.
Yes,
It's an excellent law school, and it's a great thing that we have it here in Montgomery, Alabama. It's a great thing. I got to teach some classes at Jones at one point in time. As a matter of fact, I taught trial advocacy at Jones for about 15 years
That's awesome.
during the early part of my career, and believe me, I learned a lot more than the students did.
Yeah.
I really did. So what kind of building construction projects did you perform at Phillips Inc.?
Chip, I did a little of everything. I built a shopping center. I built a hotel. I've built half a dozen doctor's offices. I built several dentist offices. I also did custom homes.
Right.
And I did some federal projects.
Well, you had a variety. You had a lot of experience in actually building, and so one of the things that people probably don't know is that you have actually helped me as an expert witness in a case. You and I had a case on a commercial building, and you served as an expert witness for me in that case.
Yes.
You examined the building. There was a problem. We're going to talk a little bit about that case. Of course, ladies and gentlemen, you know that we never talk about the names of our clients or the names of others. We try to keep that as private as we can because it should be. But we will be talking about some very interesting cases tonight. One of the cases will deal with a man who fell 20 feet from an opening in a floor structure. It was a fairly tall building that was being built. He fell 20 feet through the opening as he was working on the project, and he lived. It was frankly a very amazing thing, because most people who fall that far don't make it, but this gentleman did, and we'll be talking about his case. We'll be talking about the commercial building case that I just mentioned to you. We'll be talking about a case where a couple had to jump off of a second floor balcony in an apartment complex because of a fire that trapped them in the building. We'll be talking about that case. And we'll be talking a little bit about the Florida pedestrian bridge situation at some point in time in the show. So I hope you'll stay with us. Thank you for watching Justice for You. We're talking about construction law tonight, and we'll be right back with more after this break. Hello, my name is Chip Nix. I'm here at the law offices of Chip Nix in Montgomery, Alabama. I want to tell you about a 20-year-old young man that we were able to help a few years ago. He lost his right hand in an industrial accident. We were able to provide a settlement for him that obtained two primary parts. The first thing we were able to do through the help of an artificial hand expert was to get him a bionic hand that really functions. And second, we were able to work with a financial company to provide, in addition to cash, $5,000 that will be paid to him on a monthly basis for the rest of his life. If you have a personal injury case, or if someone in your family has tragically been killed, call us. We will search for justice for you. Some people say personal injury law is all about the money. Well, they're right. It's about the money to provide a bionic hand to a young man who has lost one of his in an accident. It's about the money for a family who has lost a mother due to a drunk driver. Yes, for the law offices of Chip Nix, it is about the money. It's about the money to help people salvage a decent life from the wreckage of someone else's carelessness. Justice for you begins here.
For over 40 years, attorney Chip Nix has experience in personal injury claims involving the most serious and catastrophic injuries. Helping victims injured at work, at home, or on the road is attorney Chip Nix's mission. The law offices of attorney Chip Nix is committed to representing clients with integrity and getting the compensation they deserve. This evening, attorney Chip Nix discusses the legal issues that affect you most. This is Justice for You with your host, attorney Chip Nix.
Welcome back to Justice for You. Our topic tonight is construction law. My guest is attorney Clay Phillips. Thank you for joining me, Clay.
Thank you for having me, Chip.
We just talked about how you have been in the construction business and now you're practicing law and you're doing a lot of construction legal projects. Is that correct?
That's correct, Chip.
Okay. Yeah, you were explaining to me something that I was interested in about the primary problems in Montgomery for buildings and in construction. Do you mind explaining that to the ladies and gentlemen at home and maybe give them some tips about ways they can deal with these situations, because they apply after the construction is over?
That's right. The primary problems we have here in Montgomery, first of all, water problems. We're here in the south where the humidity is high, it's hot. We get a lot of rain and a lot of moisture, and we have a lot of water problems. And some of it being exterior fascia rotting, windows rotting. We also have a lot of foundation problems. We have what you call expansive clay soil here.
Right.
Certain areas of town, the soil does not perk, and that means the water doesn't run through it well, and it expands and contracts, greatly causing foundation problems. Those are the two of the biggies here in Montgomery.
What can people do about those problems to protect the places where they live?
All right, if you're in an existing home, the best way you can protect your foundation is make sure you get proper drainage away from your home.
Okay.
And making sure that water does not stand up next to your house, and that the water is able to get away from the house quickly, during the rain. And that's the biggest thing.
I've heard that some people, to keep the soil, to make the soil stable, that they will put sprinklers around their house, or that they will use soaker hoses, and that they will control the amount of moisture. Because as I understood it, when it gets real dry, the clay contracts, it gets smaller under there, and then when it gets real wet, it expands. Is that a way that you can?
It absolutely is, and that's very effective to keep the moisture content of the soil at a steady amount, and then you don't have that great shrinkage and contracting. Another is ground cover next to the house. Of course, that can also attract termites next to the house, so you got to be careful there.
Yeah.
But
if you can control the moisture and keep it kind of stable, you don't have the underpinnings of the house doing this and that, causing the house above to have problems.
That's right.
All right. Well, hey, Clay, let's talk about the gentleman. It's been a few years ago, but this gentleman was working on a construction project. He was working with his two sons. They were also workers on the project. And there was an opening in the level of the building where they were working. It was a pretty big opening, too. And as he worked, he got too close to the opening, didn't realize that he was that close to the opening, and he fell through the opening. What are the considerations in a case like that?
Well, first of all, first people who are going on the scene is going to be OSHA.
Okay.
As soon as you have an accident like that, OSHA will send somebody out to inspect the scene when somebody's seriously injured, and they're going to be looking for things like, did the builder have adequate barriers to keep the workers from falling through the hole? Did they follow the minimum standards of the OSHA requirements?
What is OSHA, Clay?
OSHA is a government agency, the Occupational Safety and Hazards Administration.
Occupational Safety and Health Act.
Health Act, yeah.
There you go.
Well, OSHA regulates safety in whether it be in the any other workplace or construction. They have special rules for contractors.
Okay.
And safety on the job site. And I got hit. I'm very familiar with OSHA. I got hit with a fine for not having adequate fall protection and adequate barriers on some scaffolding.
I see.
And at the time, as a builder, you're looking to get the job done fast as you can, as efficient as you can, and sometimes you just think, well, it couldn't happen to us.
Right.
And nobody's going to get hurt on this site. We're fine, until it happens.
Right.
And
so the OSHA inspector, as I understand it, he can come anytime he wants to. Does not have to be invited. He can just walk up to your door and go in.
That's right.
and he can ask to inspect. He can take statements of workers. A lot of times OSHA is actually, they have to be called when someone is injured on the job. So if someone is injured, they'll get a call, they'll send an inspector up or an inspection team, and they have the right to question people on the job. They have the right to subpoena people. OSHA, Occupational Safety and Health Administration, has the right to issue a subpoena to your workers or to a worker so that they can investigate what happened. And then, like you said, Clay, they can issue violations.
Oh, they issued me a $20,000 fine.
How about
for that?
Yeah.
And and that's another thing I want to touch on is, and people may not know, is that you can go negotiate that fine. And you can, I recommend if it's a big enough fine, hire an attorney to negotiate on your behalf.
Absolutely. That is something that not many people know. And it is something that can be done. So if you're a contractor out there and you get an OSHA fine, and I think every contractor gets them no matter how careful they are, if you get one, know that you can go negotiate the fine. Call Clay. He can help you do that. He's had experience on all ends of that. So let's talk about a case, this case, where the gentleman fell through the opening. What types of safety measures does OSHA require that may have prevented that accident?
Well, first of all, he fell through a hole in the work area, and so they're going to be looking. Did he have adequate barriers to keep someone from falling through that hole? Was it and did they, one thing they're going to look at is the fall protection. If you cannot have adequate barriers, because sometimes you can't. Sometimes you're working on the side of a building, it would be cost prohibitive to have barriers everywhere.
Right.
Well, then they're going to be looking for, did he have adequate fall protection? Was his safety harness, fall harness, was it fastened properly? Did it meet adequate standards? It'll have an ANSI standard on it.
So a worker can be required to wear a harness and a line that's tied off?
Absolutely. And in fact, our workers used to complain on certain job sites they would have to wear a hard hat. They would have to wear fall protection, and they would get aggravated with me and say, Clay, it's costing us too much time having a tie off.
Right.
But some things are more important than time.
Right, right. And to the man that fell through this hole, the fact that OSHA came and investigated and determined what happened, one thing we try to tell people all the time on this show is don't hesitate to call your lawyer, because the lawyer needs to get into the case just as soon as possible. Timing is so important so that the lawyer can preserve the evidence, so the lawyer can get out there and have an expert inspect the area, take photographs of the area in the condition it was in at the time of the fall, to document all of that stuff. If that's not done, then the lawyer will have a more difficult time proving what happened, and it is absolutely important, essential, to be able to prove what happened in order for this gentleman to prevail in that case. And fortunately, we were able to prevail in his case. Clay, we're getting close to being out of time on this segment, but let's talk real quickly about the couple in the apartment complex. It was late at night, they were asleep, a fire started, and they didn't know about the fire until the fire had already moved to a point where they were trapped in the apartment complex. They had to go to the balcony and finally had to jump off the balcony, and they were severely injured when they did that. This was the problem. There were no smoke detectors in that building. Is that a violation of anything?
Oh, absolutely. It's violating the building code, and then the question would be: were the smoke detectors shown on the drawings, and the builder still failed to install them, or was it a design flaw? It could be the architect didn't draw them in like they were supposed to be.
I guess sometimes building inspectors miss things.
Absolutely, and they're not really held accountable when they do miss something.
Well, and that's potentially a problem, isn't it? If we're not going to be held accountable for something, then there's not as much incentive for us to do right, is there?
No, that's right.
Well, that's what happened in this situation, and these people were severely injured. But the fact that there were no smoke detectors in the apartment complex allowed them to be compensated for their injuries. And that is so important because they were elderly people. I say elderly, they were between 50 and 60. They had to quit working. Both of them had to quit working. They didn't have anything to take care of themselves with. And fortunately, we were able to provide something for them. Clay, let's take a short break. You're watching Justice for You. We've got more after this. Hello, my name is Chip Nix. I'm here at the law offices of Chip Nix in Montgomery, Alabama. I want to tell you about a 20-year-old young man that we were able to help a few years ago. He lost his right hand in an industrial accident. We were able to provide a settlement for him that obtained two primary parts. The first thing we were able to do through the help of an artificial hand expert was to get him a bionic hand that really functions. And second, we were able to work with a financial company to provide, in addition to cash, $5,000 that will be paid to him on a monthly basis for the rest of his life. If you have a personal injury case, or if someone in your family has tragically been killed, call us. We will search for justice for you. I'm attorney Chip Nix, host of Justice for You. Justice for You applies not only to the clients we serve, but also to the community. At nixattorney.com, we provide answers to questions about personal injury with direct access to me and my associates. If you've been injured, contact me at 334-279-7770. Justice for You starts here. We're back with Justice for You. Clay, we've been talking about some construction cases. One of the most interesting and frankly tragic things that has happened in a long time was that in March of 2018 down in South Florida, a pedestrian bridge fell and killed some people who were driving under it. It was new construction. They had just installed the bridge. It had no supports underneath it, which is very unusual for such a long span of a bridge. It was a new methodology, and the bridge fell and crushed. I think there were 6 people killed. There were 10 people seriously injured. That is a construction nightmare, isn't it, Clay?
It absolutely is. It was a recipe for disaster from the beginning, though, Chip.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
It was.
You combine those things, and nothing good can come of that. Chip.
That's right. They had a long span without supports. It was a new methodology or technology. They actually allowed public access under that new installation that wasn't even going to be completely finished for another year. Clay, in your experience, is public access something that is common with construction projects?
No, in fact, I didn't. Whenever we had a project that where anybody would be coming close to the job site and put in danger, we would put up barricades. We did everything we could to try to protect people from getting injured, and in this situation, it's just bad.
Yeah, the lawsuit. Actually, there's been more than one lawsuit that's been filed. Each one of those lawsuits has said they should have closed the street. They should have closed the road. They should never have allowed people to drive up under that newly installed bridge. In fact, the bridge wasn't even completely installed. when it fell, they were working on tension adjustments, tension rods that actually were part of the suspension of the bridge. And they were working on those, trying to get them readjusted because they were out of adjustment. And there had been cracks in the bridge that they were going to have to address. Why they didn't stop traffic from going under the bridge during the tension adjustment phase and when they learned of the cracks, I'll never understand.
Yeah, the whole thing sounds horrific, and you know, it's sad that lives lost, families changed forever.
Well, experts are looking at that situation now. Experts are trying to determine what they think the cause was, but it's pretty clear that the whole thing could have been prevented if they had stopped traffic from flowing underneath the bridge. Clay, you mentioned water intrusion a minute ago, and you and I had a case. You were one of my expert witnesses, and we worked on that case. It was a case where a commercial building had an installation of stucco, or what I call EIFS, E-I-F-S, and there was water intrusion. Do you remember that case?
I do, Chip, and I actually have a couple of EIFS cases right now. Actually, these are real stucco cases, but similar situation. Here's my opinion of stucco. Stucco is finicky, and everything has to be perfect for it to function. I don't like it, but if you just have to have stucco, there's some big no-nos out there. Right now, they've changed the code, where used to be you just had one layer of moisture barrier behind it. Now the code says you got to have 2 layers. And used to be you used the old asphalt felt, which was a good material. Now everybody uses the cheap plastic vapor barrier.
I got you.
Well, the plastic vapor barrier sticks to the back of the stucco, and so it doesn't allow water to drain out from between the barrier and the stucco. And
that traps water in there, and that rots and deteriorates.
That's right. It rots and deteriorates the new plywood, which is OSB, which is not as good as the old plywood.
I wish we had more time to talk about it. We are unfortunately out of time. I hate that. Clay, thank you so much for being with me tonight. We'll have to do this again, okay?
Right.
You can watch Justice for You on Sunday nights after the news at 10. If you have been injured in an accident or at work, call me at 334-279-7770. Have a good night.